Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Assassin's Creed Brotherhood as we continue with the database entries. Never really noticed this map before. Kind of looks like a map of Europe, or what would have been the known world at the time. Probably supposed to be representative of like the missions we were doing with the what did they call it? Where's our pigeon cage? Not in here. Here, no, doesn't say the name, but those like asynchronous missions. Anyway, so I went and I got the missing database entries for Florence, but it rearranged the list. So I'm just today we're gonna reread Florence, and then we're going to continue on with the Roma entries. So Loggia di Lanze, built between 1376 and 1382 by Benzi di Cione and Simon di Francesco Talente, the Loggia di Lanze was created to provide a covering for the swearing in of the members of the Signoria, the rulers of Florence. In the 16th century, the Medici had a private balcony constructed on top, making it clear to the city of Florence who was really in charge. Palazzo della Signoria. Arnolfo di Cambio designed the Palazzo della Signoria, also known as the Palazzo Vecchio, in 1299 for the rulers of Florence, the Signoria. The Signoria was made up of 9 members, or priori, selected by the city's guilds, 2 from each district, and a gonfalonier of justice. Members were supposed to be chosen by lot, but once the Medici family took power, only their friends seemed to end up in the drawing. Government by the people, right? Interesting fact. The tower in front is off-center because it was incorporated into the palazzo from an earlier structure. It contains 2 small cells, one of which was used to imprison Cosimo di Medici. Palazzo Auditore. Completed in 1473, the Palazzo Auditore is notable for its rusticated stonework and Roman pilasters. Giovanni Auditore designed the palazzo himself based on initial sketches by Leone Battista Alberti. Once built, the palazzo became a fixture of the Santa Maria Novella district. Lorenzo di Medici mentioned in a letter addressed to Giovanni, dated 1474, that he admired the facade's lack of ostentation. And actually, I think we might actually have because the rest I think we had. So maybe this one. It seems like it put all the missing entries in front, which is convenient. Giotto's Campanelli. Begun by Giotto di Bondone, the famous architect and painter, in 1334, this famous Gothic bell tower was incomplete when Giotto died. Andrea Pisano took over, and then in 1348 was felled by the Black Death. In 1359, the tower was completed by Francesco Talente, who deviated from Giotto's plans in his design of the upper 3 floors. He enlarged each floor to match the previous according to perspective, so when seen from below, all 3 floors seemed to be exactly the same size. The tower is clad with white marble from Carrara, red marble from Siena, and green marble from Prato. It takes exactly 414 steps to reach the top, perhaps predicting Charles Messier's discovery of the Whirlpool Galaxy exactly 414 years later. Or perhaps not. Santa Maria del Fiore, one of Italy's largest churches and the largest landmark in Florence, Santa Maria del Fiore is considered by many to be the first masterpiece of Renaissance architecture. Although the church was designed by Arnolfo di Cambio in 1296, the dome was not started until the beginning of the 15th century. With Cambio long dead, none of the architects at that time had any idea how to construct such an enormous structure, since the use of buttresses was forbidden in Florence and mortar took several days to set. But all was not lost. In an amazing comeback story, Filippo Brunicelli, an architect who had been defeated in an earlier bid to design the baptistry doors, won the competition to build the dome. He beat out Lorenzo Ghiberti, the same artist he had lost to before. Brunelleschi invented machines to hoist the bricks needed for the dome up to the workers and was able to construct the entire dome without using centering, a support structure to hold the dome in place while the bricks were laid. Containing over 4 million bricks, the dome was completed in 1436. the lantern was added after Brunelleschi's death in 1446 and supposedly contains holy relics. However, there were several rumors that in fact an entire tomb of unknown origin is located inside. And then the rest, I'm pretty sure we had. So, we can go back and continue with the Roman entries, which I think we left off in the Palazzo Laterno. So we'll do another batch of Roman entries. Porta Turionis, constructed sometime between 848 and 1455. Come on, fellow historians, I can drive more than 3 times the age of the US through that gap. The Porta Turionis was so named because it stood next to a tower, Turionis, built by Pope Nicholas V. Speaking of driving, the location of the gate at the entrance to the Vatican was enlarged for cars in 1990, and the original was moved several meters to the side and permanently closed, which might lead one to ask the important philosophical question, which gate is the real Porta Turionis? Except the Pope renamed it the Porta Cavalieri, rendering the question utterly pointless and nonsensical. Castra Praetoria. The castra functioned as the ancient barracks for the Praetorian Guard of Imperial Rome. After Constantine's victory over Maxentius in 312, he destroyed the barracks. Although the Guard had been the emperor's protectors for centuries and were simply doing their job defending Maxentius, it appears Constantine was unable to forgive them. They were disbanded forever. Talk about a bad day at work. Porta Salaria. The Goth king Alaric I entered Rome through this Aurelian gate to begin his 410 sack of Rome. Unlike most of its counterparts, the Porta Salaria didn't receive a Christian name during the Middle Ages, perhaps as punishment for its failure. Porta Flaminia. This gate was originally the starting point for the Via Flaminia leading to Riminium, making it the most important road to the north of Rome. Eventually became the Porta del Popolo, granting access to the famous Piazza del Popolo. God, these names. Trema di Dioclezio. Perched atop Viminale Hill, the Terma di Diocleziano were the most lavish of all the imperial baths built during the height of the Roman Empire. Like the rest, they remained operational until the Goths cut the Roman water supply in 537. After that, much of the structures were converted into various different spaces, i.e. places of worship commissioned by the Roman Catholic Church, and today they house a collection of funeral art. Just goes to show you rest and relaxation lead to sin and death. Or maybe that if you fill up a tomb with water, it makes a brilliant swimming pool. Porta Pinciana, built in the early 5th century by Honorius, who adapted a previously existing service entrance. This gate marked the start of the Via Salaria. A legend during the Middle Ages claimed that Roman general Belisarius, who defended Rome against the Ostrogoths, was seen here as a blinded beggar. Emperor Justinian, when questioned about his involvement in the blinding, denied it, then abruptly began talking about rebuilding the Hagia Sophia. Torre Milizzi. This imposing medieval tower is annexed to Mercati di Triano and is not only one of the oldest and most fortified towers in Rome, but also qualifies as the tallest. You'll notice it tilting slightly due to an earthquake in 1348 that caused the top floor to crumble. Despite popular belief implicating Nero in its construction, the more probable reality points to Pope Innocent III as its commissioner. People just assume Nero because it's big and gaudy. I can't blame them. During the Renaissance, there were rumors of a treasure in the hard-to-reach upper floors, but no proof was ever found. As Ezio got there first. Sant Antonio di Portuguesi. This church was erected between 1440 and 1445 by Cardinal Antonio de Chaves and was annexed to the hospice for Portuguese pilgrims. In 1638, a massive facelift was begun at the hands of Martino Longhi the Younger, converting it to the National Church of the Portuguese people. Celio, named for Caius Vibena, it's unclear whether he received the honor for settling the hill or if his friend Servius Tullius merely wanted to commemorate him posthumously. Either way, as one of the 7 hills of Rome, Celio was a fashionable residential district for the wealthy during the Republican era of Rome. Mercati di Triano, a fine example of the many enduring landmarks left behind by prolific Roman builder Emperor Trajan. His Mercati is thought to be the world's oldest shopping mall, and when fully operational, it housed no less than 150 shops and offices. Designed by Trajan's favorite architect, Apollodorus of Damascus, between 107 and 110 CE, it was considered one of the wonders of the ancient world over, say, a 91-mile-long aqueduct providing the whole city with clean water. No, the shopping mall is far more impressive. Aqua Marcia. This impressive system was the longest of the 11 Roman aqueducts, running a staggering 91 miles. Built between 144 and 140 BCE, the aqueduct was named for its creator, Praetor Quintus Marcius Rex. It was maintained and even expanded for the better part of 200 years, but typical of any free public service, by Nero's reign so many people siphoned water out of it for personal use, the flow was barely a trickle by the time it arrived in the city. Porta Nomentana, one of the minor Mura Aurelian wall gates, Porta Nomentana was originally constructed as a single arch entrance. The porta was flanked by 2 semicircular towers, one of which was converted to a tomb for a man by the name of Quintus Atterius. Quintus was said to have been a man made rotten by flattery, but history had the last laugh. The gate is now incorporated into the wall of the British Embassy. His dead ears will never hear flattery again. Arco di Constantino. It's widely accepted that Emperor Constantine I had an insatiable thirst for gloating, so when he defeated Emperor Maxentius and took the throne in 312, no one was surprised when he built this arch to commemorate his victory. Most of the artwork on the arch was plundered from existing monuments and modified to alter its meaning. Some historians contend that the artisans of the 4th century simply didn't have the talent to create such ornate pieces, and only completed the arch by recycling old masterworks from ruins around the city. A preposterous claim, as the Romans never copied anything. See what I did there? Sarcasm. There we go. Basilica di Masanzio is... excuse me. This basilica's construction began under Emperor Maxentius in 308, who was later defeated by Constantine in the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. Constantine oversaw the building's completion through 312 and relished the satisfaction in completing Maxentius's project. The basilica was a multifunctional building used as a courthouse, council chamber, and meeting hall. It borrowed pieces of its design from other basilicas and Roman baths, but taken as a whole, it is truly unique. Ponte Emilio, a single arch mid-river, is all that now remains of the oldest Roman bridge in the city. It remained functional until 1598 when a flood swept away the eastern arch, and city officials deemed it too expensive to fix as all money was heading into Pope Clement VIII's execution fund. Basilica Aemilia, destroyed when the Visigoths sacked Rome, clues for the basilica's primary purpose were left behind. When the occupants fled, they dropped coins, which remained on the tile floor as the building was set aflame. After the smoke cleared and the attack was over, the coins had been welded to the basilica floor from the extreme heat. So it seems its main function was as offices for moneylenders and tax collectors, or even perhaps prepubescent coin collectors. Santa Maria di Miracoli and Santa Maria di Montesante. This modest church initially housed humble Carmelite monks who are probably in there right now hiding from the outside world. Eventually it was converted into one of the twin churches that stand on the edge of the present-day Piazza del Popolo. The renovations took 13 years, starting in 1662. The resulting structures have become iconic landmarks in modern-day Rome. San Andrea della Valle. This is the future site of the fabled Basilica di Sant'Andrea della Valle, although construction won't start for another 80 or so years. The land was bequeathed to the Duchess of Amalfi, who herself was a descendant of Pope Pius II. She was then charged by the Order of Theantine with the responsibility of erecting a church in honor of St. Andrew. Though she did not live to see it completed in 1650, the final product was something to behold, celebrated the world over for its stunning interior. Circo Massimo, located in the valley between Aventino and Colle Palatino, this ancient Roman chariot racing stadium was not only the first of its kind, but also the largest. At its peak, the Circo could hold 250,000 people, which was roughly one quarter of the city's population. In 140 CE, one of the upper tiers of the circus collapsed and killed 1,112 spectators. This tragedy has stood the test of time and remains the worst sports-related disaster in history, not England versus Hungary in 1953 as some people would like to believe. I'm looking at you, Dad. Porta Ostiense, located just west of the Pyramid of Cestius along the Mur Aureliani. This gate has a similar history to the Porta Asinaria. In 549, the treason of the Isaurian garrison allowed Totila and his Ostrogoths to enter Rome via this gate and sack the city. I think the Romans should have amended their guard screening exam, adding one key question: are you friends with King Totila? Ponte Cestio. Exactly who built this particular bridge is unknown, but we do know it was the first to connect the right bank of the Tevere to Isola Tiberina. In ancient times, the river had great religious significance and was considered a breach of divine law to build a bridge across it. Excuse me. The only person who could approve such a project was the high priest or pontifex, which literally translates to bridge builder. How bridge builders eventually acquired the power to divide up the new world is another story. Oh, that's a reference to the Treaty of Tortillas or something like that, which was when like Spain and Portugal started colonizing the New World. The Catholic Church basically divvied up and said, okay, anywhere, west of here or north of here or whatever goes to one Catholic group, and then anything on the other side goes to another Catholic group. Which was then promptly ignored by when the Reformation swept through and countries weren't Catholic anymore. Let's see. Colle Palatino. Of the 7 hills in Rome, the Colle Palatino is the centermost in reference to the city. One of the oldest sectors of Rome, it looks down upon both the Roman Forum and the Circo Massimo. According to some of my favorite Roman mythology, the hill was the location of the cave known as Lupercal, where Romulus and Remus were found and kept alive by the she-wolf, which, not so coincidentally, is the name we gave to my ex in the Hastings household. Don't ask. Seems a little rude. Aventino, another one of the 7 hills of Rome upon which the ancient city was built. Aventino was mainly a suburb during the monarchy and early republic. In 456 BCE, a law was passed allowing plebeians to own property on the hill, causing the city to quickly grow beyond its walls. This rapid expansion made it far more vulnerable to capture by the Gauls. Only after a bloody invasion, the Senate passed a motion to build a new wall encircling Aventino, a delayed reaction strikingly similar to that found before the passage of healthcare reform in the U.S. Porte Metronia, built in conjunction with the Mura Aurelianae, or Aurelian Walls, the Porta Metronia was sealed at the end of the Middle Ages, allowing Pope Calixtus II to create a small channel through it for the Aqua Mariana, a river whose stagnant waters would later cause an outbreak in 1601. Good deed plus passage of time equals plague. That's the circle of life. La Volpe Addormentata, popular among the Borgia guards for the free drinks served nightly. La Volpe Addormentata guaranteed a good time had by all, and patrons must have always felt a little lighter leaving than they did coming in, judging from the abnormally high reports of stolen items. Yeah, that's probably why they gave them the free drinks, was so they wouldn't notice their items being stolen. Colle Quirnale, situated northeast of the city center. Quirnale is one of the 7 hills of Rome. Tombs from the 8th and 7th century BCE have been found here, confirming theories of its existence as a Sabine settlement before being assimilated by Rome. Constantine I had his lavish private baths built here as well, although all that remain are a few drawings. Caserma di Alviano. Used by Bartolomeo until 1503, his barracks became a training ground for mercenaries until they fell into disrepair and were leveled to make way for the enlarging city. The spot was marked for a memorial in 1960, but no one was quite sure where the barracks were actually located, so the idea was scrapped in favor of a park, which was in turn scrapped in favor of a fast food restaurant. That was 7 Hills of Rome. Yeah, okay, so just trying to remember where I'm at, because having to scroll back to where I was every time kind of sucks. Colla Viminale. The smallest of the 7 hills of Rome, Viminale is shaped like a little finger pointing towards the central city. At the top stands the Palace of Viminale, which is the office of the Ministry of Interior. This little hill was also home to the Terma di Diocleziano, which were renowned as the grandest of public baths. And I think we'll end things there today. Next time, we'll take off, and I think we might be able to finish the rest of these next time. But until then, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.